Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info.
Hey guys, it's Takeover Tuesday. Rusty Hook Podcast here on the PNF Paddle and Fin Media Group. Let's do this.
Welcome to a special edition of the Rusty Hook Podcast, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. 1 hour of straight talk regarding tournament news, angler profiles, gear reviews, and more. Now let's get our show started by joining with John Rapp, our host.
All right, hey, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. We're streaming here on the on the Paddle and Fin page via the Rusty Hook Podcast. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Got a great show tonight. A lot of topic of discussion amongst my group here in West Virginia, and I suspect that my Paddle and Fin brethrens and sisters all over the nation may be having some of the same issues we're having here in the great state of West Virginia. Great state of West Virginia, happy birthday, 160 years old today, that we've been kicking it here in the Mountain State. So, want to wish everybody well and hope everybody had a great weekend tournament-wise. I had a pretty good weekend. Finished 8th with the West Virginia Kayak Anglers. Caught a hog mama on the Taggart River. Was fishing a green pumpkin 5-inch TRD around some old pillars, and I caught a 19.25-inch smallmouth. I got a video up on my Facebook page. Beautiful fish. We'll check it out if we have time. But it was a beautiful day. West Virginia Kayak Anglers had their event up there, and we had 29 people show up. I have to say I was really surprised at that. In the past, on a day like that we've had this past weekend, we would have had 75 to 90 people show up. So I put out feelers, went to some of my old club group pages to reach out to the folks that aren't signed up this year and find out why. And so that's what today's episode is about. Is kayak fishing dying in West Virginia? And we're going to get to that answer. The reality of it is a big fat no. It's not dying. It's growing. It's grown so much. And we all know that we can attribute to the sport and the growth of kayak fishing was helped and spurred by COVID. People had to isolate. People had to get out. People couldn't get together. Kayak fishing was a great way to throw something in the back of the boat, go hit a lake, and do things and social distance. So I know manufacturers like Field Free Kayaks that I work for could not keep boats in the warehouse. They were selling boats left and right. Their dealers were buying everything that they could get their hands on. And now there's a glut of kayaks out there, which is causing not just Field Free Kayaks, but a lot of kayak companies to slow down things. You know, their sales have slowed. But a lot of that may have to do with the recent state of the economy and inflation as well. You think about it, it's been 2 years that this administration's been in place. Prices have skyrocketed. Shipping has skyrocketed. There's been a shortage of just about everything. plastic was a shortage for a lot of the companies when they were manufacturing. But a lot of us as kayak anglers, we went out and spent money and we bought new kayaks. And now the average everyday kayak angler is not going to be like your kayak tournament angler. And the guys that I know that are into tournament fishing, they don't hold on to a boat very long. It'll go a season, maybe 2 seasons if they stretch it out. But that boat is normally put up for sale right after the end of the season, so they can go ahead and start getting in the newest rig for the following year and get it prepared for another season. A lot of kayak tournament anglers are sponsored by kayak companies, and that way they can get a little bit better deal on what they're buying. So, is kayak fishing dead? No. But we do have issues when it comes to kayak tournament fishing here in West Virginia. And I reached out to the club managers for our 3 major kayak fishing clubs in West Virginia. So, little history. And the guys that are listening to this show that are from West Virginia, that have been around, pretty much know what I'm about to say, is that kayak fishing really took off here, organized-wise, in 2013, when Mountain State Kayak Anglers organized. The old owner, president, guy that run it was Ben Smith and his brother Jeremy. They were averaging between 10 and 15 anglers during the 2013 year. 2014, I jumped in with those guys, and we grew the club tremendously, exponentially. I mean, from 2014, when we were averaging between 18 and 25 to 30 anglers, to 2016, when we were averaging between 85 and 100. Huge growth. We grew it. And not only did that happen, but because the clubs were so huge that it grew into other groups. You saw a group pop up in 2015. You had the Northern West Virginia Kayak Anglers. There's a page that was up there. Then you had a group from Summers County that's no longer existed. They jumped in. Summers County Kayak Bass Anglers. It was called Scuba. They were around for about 4 years. They dissolved in 2017. And we'll go into a lot of the reasons why these things happen. West Virginia Kayak Anglers and Southern West Virginia Kayak Anglers started in 17. And now with Mountain State Kayak Anglers, which is in their 10th year, congratulations, guys. You've done a great job surviving. 10 years with the other clubs being around for about 6 years. We've seen a steady amount of guys come and go. So I reached out to the West Virginia Kayak Anglers Facebook pages, the group pages that I'm a member of, and I did a poll for the 2021 and 2022 group. Let me see if I can pull that up for you here. Oh, I don't want that one. That's got my gorgeous wife down there. There we go. So, I had 25 replies, and I just did the poll the day before yesterday in the evening when I got home, or I did it Sunday afternoon. So not very many people had a chance to look at it, but I did get 25 replies on the 2 different pages, and really surprised me about this, but in some ways it didn't, because when you look at family obligations, of 25 replies, I had 15 that said that basically it was family obligations. And if you look at it and you think about it, a lot of our anglers that come into the sport are in their mid-20s, early 30s, and they're just getting established in life, family, marriage, having children. So, it's pretty easy when you have a child in the 4 to 5 to 6, 7 year age range to be able to do and go travel and do kayak fishing tournaments around the state, regionally or nationally. But once they get into the 4th and 5th and 6th grade, then they start getting into sports, and there's other obligations. I know a friend of mine, Vic and Christy, their son is hugely active in wrestling. He's nationally ranked. I mean, he's won some huge events for his age. He's going into, I think, 8th grade now. He's a mountain bike rider. And then you got other guys, same way. I know, was talking to a guy that showed up to a tournament that he didn't fish the last year and a half because he was starting a family. He was spending time at home and had a baby. I think she's 3 months old now or 4 months old. So a lot of those things come into play. And then the other thing was we had several guys say they changed jobs. And, when you change jobs, you lose your vacation, you lose your seniority, things like that come into play. So people can't take time off and travel to go not only just around the state in West Virginia for their events, but, regionally or nationally to represent the clubs at maybe at the KBF National Championship or at the Hobie regionals or the KBF regional events that pop up around us. So that's some of the replies there. Now let's look at the memberships. The memberships here. Let me see if I go back to the right one. So I got 3 club managers. Coy Lehman from Mountain State Kayak Anglers, Jason Plumley from Southern West Virginia, and then Greg Kupfer from WK. I put their numbers up. I tried to get a little bit more numbers to go back further because I know West Virginia kayak anglers in 17 and 18 had close to 160 members, if not more. And then I know MSKA back in 14 and 15 had 150 plus members. Southern West Virginia guys were just getting started. The first couple of years, their growth was slow because they were in just doing regional stuff, but they've expanded out, and their growth, as you can see, Jason's done a good job growing the club. But, I mean, as you can tell, 2020, all the clubs were right at the 125 to 150 range. And then, that's a COVID year. 2021, 2022, 2023. Got to look at those areas, and you can see that there's starting to be a fall off. Mountain State struggled for a couple years, but now in 2023, you're looking at WVKA and SWK struggling. Mountain State's over 100. Coy was telling me he changed his membership, the ways he brings in people into the club. So it's not just paid members, there's family members involved there. But I know all the clubs offer discounts. If you're a veteran, you get a discount into the club. There's different ways, juniors, youths. So, there's first responders get discounts. So it's interesting on why these numbers are low. Now, I put out some information on the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing podcast page. about this, about asking guys what they thought. And really, there's been a lot of good interaction there. And let's take a break, and then what I'm going to do is bring up some of those comments with some of those guys, and let's see what their thought process is. Pull up my Feel free kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. There's something for everyone. Do Bro Fishing. Manufactured and designed marine products, American-made plastics, and fishing gear. Westbrook Supply Company, Atlanta's best kayak company for all your paddling and fishing needs. Yak Gadget, American-made kayak fishing accessories and gear. Ace Adventure Resort, West Virginia's #1 outdoor destination, whitewater, ziplining, water park. All right, guys, welcome back. So, the topic of today's conversation is kayak fishing dying in West Virginia. And the reality of that, again, if you missed the first 18 minutes of the show, the answer is no. But there is some concerns that we need to address when it comes to the tournament side of fishing. So I showed you guys a graph earlier where we had the 3 major clubs here in West Virginia. There's a 4th club. It's created up in the northern part of the state, but I don't know exactly where they're located at. They spend a lot of time in western Maryland, but he may be from the northern area of West Virginia. I'm not sure. Haven't really looked into it that much. Some of the guys from the West Virginia Kayak Anglers Club that I'm a part of have fished those events and have done really well. Mikey Holcomb, Mike Ridenauer. So congratulations to you guys going up there and taking some money. But I guess there's going to need to be some ways that need to be looked at to get people back involved, to get people to come to kayak fishing events. Now, maybe based on one of the answers that I had on the page is a guy that moved to West Virginia, reached out to the club, but I guess he felt like that he was not welcome. So it may be something that we need to do is we need to embrace and work harder to make people feel welcome when they come to a kayak fishing event. And maybe organization needs to be done a little bit better. It's been difficult, I know, for Greg since he's taken over. Well, I mean, when you look at all the different entities that come into play, when Greg took over, when I left as managing director for WKA, he had a few people that were right there with him, helping him every step of the way, especially when he started for 2021. But since then, we go back to that poll information that I put out. Some family obligations and changes in life have dwindled his team. One of the guys that worked with him quite a bit now has like a 3 or 4 year old son that he's spending time with. He has travel issues because he is from the Panhandle part of the state. One of the other guys that was one of his major assistants had a change in life, and now is no longer living. Heck, he may be living in Virginia. If he's not living in Virginia, he's living in southern West Virginia. And so obstacles like that, changes in life, family obligations, means that when those people walk away or move on, we have to have other people step up. A club needs people to get involved and help the managers. The manager just can't do it all, especially with the DNR changes. The Division of Natural Resources has increased a little bit of paperwork and requirements for our managers. And if they're concentrating on the administration side of things, we need other people to step out and be doing the social things, doing the meet and greets, running the pages, and keeping people interested and active. The other thing that may help the clubs grow is something that we've done it the past couple of years with the West Virginia Kayak Anglers, and I know that other clubs do it as well. Is like this year, we did a group trip to Eastport, Tennessee. We went to a paddle and fin tournament. I'm part of the paddle and fin group. Was able to make arrangements where 18 of us went and represented West Virginia. The tournament only had 44 people. We had 16, I believe, from West Virginia in it. So it was a great response from the West Virginia Kayak Anglers to go down. Most of them went down for, at minimum, 4 or 5 days. And the guys that went can tell you they had a great time. The year before we had 8 guys go down. So when you have 8 guys go down the year before, and the next year 18 go, I would suspect that word of mouth got out about how great and how much fun we had down there. The fishing is great. The accommodations at Eastport. I mean, if you think about it, we stayed on the houseboats. You can take your kayak, you can moor it right up on the dock. You get out of your boat, you walk 10 feet, you're on the houseboat. You're charging your batteries. You're going in to get your refreshments. You're sleeping. And then you can walk 150 feet down to the marina store and restaurant. It was just an absolutely great venue. A month later, 8 of us go to Lake Erie for a week. Buddy Vance and his group set up a house. We go up. Actually, there was 10 of us, because John Cart went up with his girlfriend. Or no, wait. I correct myself. It was 8. 6 in our party, his 2. But what's funny about that is that just about every boat we saw at Thompson's Bay was from West Virginia. I bet half of them or more. 6 hours from where I'm from, Lake Erie, I'm fishing one bay. And every bit of them were, every 50 to 75% of them from West Virginia. So maybe what we need to do to get more people involved is offer more social things that aren't tournament related. Granted, a lot of the guys that come, there's a lot of competitive fishermen that like to do competitive fishing, but maybe we need to broaden it and open it up. We can still have competitive fishing. So let me pull up the page here. Get everything up. Oh, not that one. It's my beautiful wife underneath. See, I'm going to stretch this out here. Stretch out my frame so we can get a better look at it. So yeah, as you can see the question, some of the comments were in regards to Oh, well. Get back. So that's pretty much the poll that I put out with in the group pages for 21 and 22, and asked people to take a look at that. And as you saw with the graphic, just from it did not include here, but some of these folks may be double dipping. But Aaron Lee, 4 and 6, family obligations, change job. Brian Perry, 6, change job. Johnny, he joined. So Brandon, he changed job too, but he's got a little one on the way. Greg, family obligations and changed job. Greg helped start the WKA and was an angler of the year. Eddie Riggleman, he was big down on the Greenbrier for a while. And then we got Jason talking about how he does 2 and 3. And guys go into it, and they talk about why they didn't make it. There's John McLeod, had surgery. He's getting strong, getting strength back. We'll get him back hopefully next year. Matt was talking. Now here's Justin Stotler. He's a guy from the Panhandle. He joined for a couple years, and he knew that the club was fished more central locations. He put southern, but it's really the club does a lot more central stuff. You got the Elk River, you got Summersville Lake, you got Stonewall Jackson, you got the Taggart River. All of those are more central. Then we do events down in the Greenbrier and the New. And we go over to Jackson County, over near Ohio, and we do some events there. For West Virginia, Mountain State, they do some stuff in Ohio on their the ponds. You got Southern West Virginia that does stuff down in the southern part of the state. So I mean, we have clubs that cater to everybody. And the 3 guys got together last year and they created a state championship where we take the top 12 from every club, put them together on one body of water, and let them grind it out to see who's the best. But like Justin was stating, although he knew he wasn't going to be able to travel to a lot of the tournaments, he joined for the statewide events. So maybe it's something that we need to do. I know Jason Plumley does a really good job of offering more variety for online events. Granted, some of his online events require travel to specific locations, but there are a lot of statewide events that he and the other clubs do. Greg's talking about 4 family obligations. Harry was a 7. That was health reasons. So him and but I know there's some more comments on here. Let's see if we can get them all. Got some of the old timers that jumped in. Let's see if I can find it here. Maybe it was on my page. Let me pull that up. So I shared that on my personal page to get more comments. And here we go. There's 45 different comments here. So like Mikey here stated, so I think what Mikey, when he's commenting there, and he can maybe get on there and expound on it more, but he's thinking tournament fishing? And he says, absolutely yes, it is. And there is some issues that we need to address there to get more people involved in the clubs and build those up. Because the reality thing is that Coy, Greg, and Jason have to write letters. They have to reach out to companies like Z-Pro. Z-Pro sponsors all the clubs and gives them certificates toward batteries. And, Z-Pro wants reach. They want to get out to people, to be heard, to be learned about. And if we only have 29 people come to an event, if we only have 12 people come to an event, or even less, I mean, where's their return of investment? We need to get out, and get people out and so we can, if we want to make things better for our tournaments and get people involved and get companies involved, we need to get our folks out. So when you're looking at this screen, a lot of people are thinking that the economy's involved, and there's some to that. So like Josh Jordan, and he's an old timer. He's been around for years, and he's exactly right. We got Hobie coming back to West Virginia. They came to West Virginia about 4 years ago, and it was not a good turnout. So this year they're coming back, and right now I think there's maybe 40 people signed up for that event. I wished he would have came a few years ago before the economy got so tough. And as you can tell by our numbers, club numbers wise, everybody's down. So it's hard to see a good representation from each club showing up. But Josh is right. And, if you look at where we're at in West Virginia and the guys that travel, we have some of the premier sticks in the nation that are out winning. You got Jody Queen. I mean, Matt Ball, the first national champion. You got Mark Edwards, who always walking the stage. Buddy Vance finished 6th this year down in South Carolina. We've got premier fishermen, and with a premier group coming in, we really need to see those guys go to that event, place well, take home some money, hardware, and showcase our clubs, showcase our state, showcase our anglers and their abilities. Now, granted, it ain't a $50 entry fee or $25 entry fee like they have going to an in-state event. And we all know that finances and jobs is something that comes into play. And we can look at these hardcore guys. They go to every club event, all 3 clubs. So yeah, scrambling through the stuff here for you guys to read. And if you want to go take a look at it, chirp in and make your comments, go to my page or go to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing page and add your comments and thoughts to what everybody else is doing out there. And it's all constructive. let's not be brash or rude with people. The reality is we need to grab and gather information from everybody, thoughts, and do what we do, see what we can do to make our clubs great again. Let's make our clubs great again. The whole idea behind this podcast was, what do we do to grow our clubs? Some of the guys in here, they're tournament fishermen, and all the clubs should not be just for tournament fishermen. I mean, if you want to tournament fish, there's all kinds of avenues to go. And, if you're looking for competition, step up. There's a Hobie event with people coming from out of state. Show them what you're worth. Show them what you're made of. I guess the part of the thing is put your money where your mouth is. Yes, it's expensive, but it's a home event. They're bringing people to us. Let's open up our arms. Let's be hospitable. Let's show them and showcase our venues. The New River is a beautiful place, or they wouldn't come back. I'm glad that AJ is coming back. I haven't looked at it to see who all is involved with the New River event. If AJ is actually running it, or if he has somebody running it for him. I'm not going to be able to fish it. I would fish it if I was here, but I'm going to Alaska to visit my son. I haven't seen him in almost 4 years. Just retired from my job, so I took a little bit of money that I have left from that, where I cashed out a 401k and bought a $1,800 round trip plane ticket. So, but I want to see these guys here. We have premier fishermen, and if you don't have the money yourself to sponsor this, then maybe what we need is our clubs to step up. Maybe the clubs need to come up and help some of these guys that are hammers. Get a few people on the river to represent the clubs. There's ways to raise money. I can remember the days back with Mountain State Kayak Anglers and with the West Virginia Kayak Anglers when we would raffle off kayaks. So you get with your local stores that are involved in the fishing industry. I mean, that's another thing that we probably need to hit on. I've noticed over the past several years that a lot of our retail stores, our mom and pop stores, have stepped away from our kayak fishing clubs. They're not getting involved in helping out. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm not out as often as I was recruiting and talking with people and getting the stuff that I was back before 2020. But I know when PC Outdoors is one, for example. They used to be really involved with the Summers County Club, our club, West Virginia Kayak Anglers. Ace Adventure Gear used to be heavily involved back when we were growing the sport. Then you had, granted, we've seen some companies close their doors. They came into play, West Virginia Outdoors, when they were down in St. Albans area, Winfield area, somewhere down in the valley. They came into play back in 2016, and by 2019 their doors were closed. Steve Gunner, he sold, I believe, I don't know if it's public knowledge or not, but he's closing up the yak shop there at in Winfield. He's sold I believe he sold the store, his embroidery business, which was his steady year-round business, but included with that was the Yak Shack that he built in 2017. So he's gone. Joe Sterrett, he's still got his place up in beautiful place there at Mountain RV. And but what we need Cabela's to step back into play. They were a sponsor for us back in 2018, 19, but we've lost them. I don't know if it's the managers moved on but we really need to get the mom and pop stores back involved. J&J Outdoor, J&J, they're in Sophia. What a great place. You got the place up in Parkersburg. And all of our bait companies, the bait makers, we got a couple of guys here too in West Virginia that are great at making fishing rods. And Jack Gillespie, one of my best friends, makes all of my custom rods. You got Tim Isaacs, Dwight Walls for Ridge Runner, and Tim Isaacs makes rods. Now, granted, they only maybe make them for themselves or a couple of their buddies. Philip Backus, I believe, makes rods. But we need to get involved with those guys. Say, hey, clubs, support them. Support the guys around here that make the baits that provide to the club. I know Chris Payne Outdoors, was heavily involved with the West Virginia Kayak Anglers. But you know what? He was heavily involved with the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. We got his name out there. He sponsored Rick Garavalia, Jerry Spradlin. Guys were spending a lot of money buying baits from him. But when you have somebody like that, they are sending out product, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of plastic. Packaging is not free either. They're putting their stuff in. The molds that they're using are not free, but they're sending out stuff to the clubs, and the clubs are giving it away. So the return of investment wasn't there for Chris and for other groups, because people were getting stuff from him, but they weren't turning around and buying stuff. So when you have businesses jump in to support clubs, you have to support them. There's so many aspects to why clubs are failing. And it's not. There's just things that we need to look at. We need to regroup as organizers. Jason, Coy, Greg, and his core group of trusted soldiers. They need to sit down and say, what do we do to get people back? What do we do to keep businesses involved with the clubs? What do we do to keep our locals involved? Because you got NRS, you got Yak Attack, Yak Gadget, my company Dubro here, Brian Schiller and them, they've really stepped up and helped West Virginia. We got 412 Bait Company back in West Virginia this year. 412 helped grow the West Virginia kayak fishing back in 13, 14, 15 when Don Corbett was involved. Now we got Big John involved, and we're going to keep him. Fishing Online, those guys are awesome as well. We need to support those guys, support the clubs. When they support the clubs, when we get people at live events, we need to do a better job of documenting things for them, tagging them in videos. Right now, with Feel Free Kayaks, we're running a customer appreciation event. So Feel Free Kayaks is putting out $500 just for Tourney X feeds. I've put out close to $500 in prizes for first place each week with the lead of the event. Big bass each week, and then we're giving out hashtags for photos when you tag a photo for the event. It's not free, and we need to work harder to get as a community to support each other. These clubs, I want you to go look at the conversation with these guys. I haven't been able to catch up with it and read it all because I was working on graphics and stuff and trying to touch out. But Mikey, let's look at Nathan. Nathan Reese is one of the old timers in the business too. Young man, but he's been around. He was around with MSK back in 13, 14, 15. Got Zach Atkins jumping in. So kayak fishing is West Virginia is strong. And I totally agree. But we've got a downturn in the clubs and we need to work on it. Buddy Vance. All these guys have great thoughts on it. See, Ricky Banks from Tennessee jumped in. Appreciate that, Ricky. Ricky was a sponsor for West Virginia kayak anglers back when we first started in 17, 18. He sent a lot of custom-made baits, and he's a Tennessee guy. So relationships, and he's jumping in talking, about what we can do here. So appreciate you guys listening to me ramble. This is a debatable topic. We need to talk about it. We need to listen to what everybody's got to say. Our leaders, Jason, Coy, and Greg, hats off to you. Guys, all of you are working hard to keep kayak fishing clubs afloat. So what do we do to make things better? What do we do to get people to come out? I know Greg has catered events. He's brought food. The man can cook. But go look at Greg Kupner's page and look at all the briskets and stuff that he's done. He's done that before. We've got a lot of great support. The venues, Jackson County's offered their campground, their sites open for us to stay at with electric camping facilities. I was really, and I know Greg worked really hard to try to find a venue at Tiger. I think that's something that we need to address. Venues need to be helping us. State parks, they need to get people, they need to be helping us as clubs, helping us get people to that park, to their campgrounds, to their facilities. We tried to get a shelter, and it was $200 a day. We only needed it for 2 hours. But that would have put people on the park. It might have put people in the park cabins on their campground. When we partner with people, and when people partner with us, it can only benefit each other. I know I wrote up a fishing report for Feel Free with my expenditures. So I did Friday. I went up. I'm gonna hit on this before I close up shop. Guys spend money traveling to go do tournaments, and that's a lot of part of the things in the conversations over here. I went up Friday and I fished the lake. I got up at 5 a.m. I drove up. I was up there by 8. I was reaching out to my buddy Brandon Walmsley, who lives up there. I've missed that young man, and he's one of the guys that I was referring to that's raising a family. Young man got married. helped start the West Virginia Kayak Anglers, was instrumental in growing MSKA, him and LJ and all the guys. We used to go pre-fish so we could put out information on the water when we were at MSKA. Lots of videos of us back in 14, 15, 16. But got to see him. Got married. He's got a baby on the way. Hasn't fished a kayak fishing tournament over a couple years. And we fished together on the Tiger. We got to talk and chat while we were catching up with each other and fishing and hitting shoals and stuff. And man, he's like, man, I miss this. I'm really enjoying this. And I told him, I said, man, that's one of the things I miss is the camaraderie I built with that young man and the other people that have moved on. I miss those guys, and I want them to come back. But, when I went up there Friday and I reached out to him to find out, where to go on the lake, because I know Tiger Lake is a very, very huge recreational lake. And he's like, man, if you're going to go, you need to go to this area, and by 9:30, you need to be prepared to get beat up by pleasure boaters. So I'm like, okay. And I went up and I fished that area. I caught 3 fish. It was a cool afternoon, so the pleasure boaters were not out. But I fished for about 4.5 hours. I caught 3 fish, and I'm like, this is not going to work. I'm not finding fish. I'm not happy with my performance there. So I'm like, I loaded up. I drove 2 hours back home, switched out kayaks, and Brandon was like, man, I'm going to fish. So we went and fished the river. And both of us done well. I finished 8th. He finished 12th. We couldn't get big limits. I did catch a 19.25 and a 15.5. All I needed was one more to get one of my dinks out, and I could have been in the top 2 or 3. Actually, I did lose a fish, and we've all heard that story. I did lose a fish that if I could have got it in the boat and measured, that would probably, I would have finished 3rd or 2nd. But that's why you got to fish clean in a tournament. Everybody misses a fish here and there. But I probably spent, I put gas in the truck. It was 2 hours up, 2 hours back, 2 hours up, 2 hours back. Ate dinner or lunch both times. But second one was paid for by my boy Greg Kupler, because he took my big bass money from me. I appreciate that, Greg. You're a good man. But that's 8 hours on the road. It's 150 some miles each way, so there's 300 miles. So I put 600 miles on the truck. That's probably about, I think I put $60 in each time in the truck. So we're looking at $120, $150 plus tournament. I spent $200. Let's go fish that again. Walk away with nothing. But I didn't walk away with nothing. I got to see people. I think highly of. I think the world of. Like-minded, passionate fishermen, kayak anglers. So in my book, it's a win. And I hope you guys out there don't only look to go to tournaments to win. We always, all of us go because we want to win. But there's more aspects to tournament fishing. And it's the people that you meet, the people you rub elbows with, the industry folks that send items so you can walk away with something. I missed getting to the ramp in time for the awards ceremony because I got lost. I got lost. I had to reach out to Greg and get him to drop a pin. And by the time I got there, he had already done the awards ceremony. So to our sponsors, specifically Dubro and 412 Bait Company, I apologize because your prizes were in my truck. But I guarantee the next event in August, when we go do, I think it's the New River, your prizes will be tagged and you will see posts online. The Mountain Mission Tournament in July. All 3 clubs will be getting together. I hope you guys support that. I will be traveling to ICAST. I'm doing some work with Dubro fishing and paddle and fin, and a little bit of time with Yak Gadget down at ICAST. Make sure you guys watch to see more info being put out from Paddle and Fin. While we're down at ICAST, we will have a broadcast booth set up with the Dubro fishing booth. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And again, on this topic, West Virginia guys, all of our sponsors, jump in there and comment on my page or on the Rusty Hook page. Tell me where we can go, what we can do, how can we do things better. What is it that we need to get our folks involved and get them back into the club scene and coming to our events? And that's the thing. You don't have to be a member of any of these clubs to come to an event. Most of them, they have a surcharge of $5. Instead of paying a $25 entry fee, you pay a $30 entry fee for a non-member. Come and socialize and see what these clubs are about. And old members, when you can make an event, please come. We want to see you. Anyway, appreciate y'all's time. John Rapp, nothing but love for you. I hope everybody stays safe when you get out on the water. Be blessed. Always wear your PFD and always let somebody know where you're fishing.